Welcome to Auto Mundial, the weekly car news and review show. This week we get our first look at the all-new BMW M2. Is it worthy of the M badge?
We also have a new Ford Mustang Dark Horse and a hot hatch from Toyota.
Plus, we test Kia's new XCeed and we check out a new plug-in hybrid from Lexus.
That is all coming up, but first though, the news.
Ford has announced that the Fiesta is to be axed from its lineup after 46 years on sale. With more than 20 million units sold across 7 generations, the Fiesta leaves behind a legacy that few super minis can come close to. Production is due to end in June next year, with an electric replacement scheduled to replace it. With profits on small cars dwindling in recent years, the Fiesta isn't the first casualty. The Ford Ka is gone, as is the Fiat Punto, with the Italian marque instead opting to cut development costs by extending the life of older models like the Panda and 500. The Ford Fiesta remains Britain's best-selling car ever, and we're sure there will be more than a few tributes when it leaves us next summer. Following the recent reveal of the next generation Mustang, Ford has already got busy fettling it. Details are still fairly scarce, but this is what they've come up with. It's called the Mustang Dark Horse, and it's a lower, wider, faster version of next year's new model. It uses the same Coyote V8 as the standard car, this time tuned up to 500 brake horsepower. New piston connecting rods and new dual throttle body intakes produce some extra oomph, although performance figures are yet to be released. It isn't just the motor that's had some work done though. The chassis has been stiffened and there are some new Brembo brakes with extra cooling. Like the standard car, the Dark Horse is available with either a 10-speed paddle shift auto box or a 6-speed manual. Ford has gone to plenty of effort to make the Dark Horse stand out from the regular Mustang. There's a new lip spoiler on the front, as well as some aggressive new side skirts. A bigger diffuser houses 4 enormous exhaust tips finished in a darker trim, while a massive rear wing creates some extra downforce. Well-heeled buyers can opt for the optional carbon fibre wheels. Just make sure you don't curb them. Other details include tinted lights, a black grille with trapezoidal intakes, and some new bespoke Dark Horse badges. As we don't currently get any Shelby versions of the Mustang here in the UK, the Dark Horse is at least something of a consolation prize. Ford has also confirmed that more track-focused Dark Horse S and R models will follow, with the R being a specially developed racing car.
It's fair to say that the GR Yaris has been a huge success for Toyota. Picking up where Mitsubishi and Subaru left off with the Evo and Impreza, Toyota's all-wheel drive rally car for the road has proved massively popular here in the UK thanks to its big power and small dimensions. The long waiting list is proof, if it was needed, that hot hatchbacks are as popular as ever. So why then is Toyota's next one not coming here? This is it, it's called the GR Corolla, and it's essentially a big brother to the feisty little Yaris. With no immediate plans to bring it to Europe, it's destined to be a North America only car, taking on the new Subaru WRX, another car we won't be seeing on this side of the pond. So should we be upset, or are we better off with the Yaris? Well, the GR Corolla shares a lot with its smaller sibling. It gets the same 1.6-litre turbocharged 3-cylinder engine, this time producing 300 brake horsepower thanks to its triple exit exhaust, up from 257 in the Yaris. It gets a healthy boost in torque too, a good thing as it's got an extra 200 kilos to shift. The good news continues with the gearbox. There's only one option and it's a 6-speed manual, complete with automatic rev matching when you can't be bothered to heel and toe. As expected, power is sent to all 4 wheels. While we don't yet have specific performance figures, Toyota has confirmed that you'll be able to adjust the torque split between the front and rear axles. You'll also get different driving modes for different terrains, perfect if you're planning on doing some amateur rallying. On top of all of that, it looks fantastic. The body has been widened to accommodate the wider rubber, while the big spoiler and bonnet vents complete the sporty GR makeover. Like the Yaris, there'll be a circuit pack version on offer, which adds a carbon roof, 2 limited slip diffs and some extra carbon goodies. Maybe if we ask really nicely, Toyota might bring the GR Corolla to the UK. But for now, we've got something the Americans don't, the Yaris.
In Kia's current UK lineup, there are 4 different versions of the Xceed. Of course, there's the regular hatchback, the sports wagon, the Xseed, and this, the best-selling version, the Xseed. Essentially a regular Xceed on stilts, the Xseed is a small crossover with nods towards the SUV lifestyle that is so popular right now. On sale since 2019, it was beginning to feel its age, so just in time for 2023, there's a new one. And here it is. In line with the recently facelifted Xceed hatch, the Xseed has had a mild cosmetic makeover thanks to a new grille, reshaped bumpers, LED lights, and, of course, the new era Kia badges. The changes aren't huge, but they do a good job of bringing the car into the 2020s. As part of the updates, the range has been simplified. The 2 is now the entry point, with 3 GT Line and GT Line S making up the new lineup. The choice of engines has been trimmed too, with UK buyers getting the choice of either a 1.5-litre petrol motor or a 1.6 plug-in hybrid. Step inside and you immediately sense the build quality. Sure, there are plenty of plastics on show, but it all feels beautifully put together. It isn't as modern as some new Kias, but the 10.25-inch touchscreen infotainment system looks current and features Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. Higher spec cars also get a digital instrument display, which works well. There's plenty of space for 4 adults, although headroom in the back is a little compromised, but leg room won't be an issue for taller passengers. Boot space is good too, 426 litres, rising to 1,378 with the seats folded. On the road, the heavier plug-in hybrid model does feel slightly jiggly, especially on Britain's bumpy B roads. With 139 brake horsepower on tap, it doesn't feel too quick either, taking more than 10 seconds to do the 0 to 62 mph sprint. It's not all bad though, the driving position is good and it's well refined, while the 30-mile electric-only range is ideal for those who commute. Only available for now in 3 trim, the hybrid comes in at just under £33,000. We'd recommend saving a big chunk of cash and opting for the regular ICE model instead. Not only is it substantially cheaper, an equivalent 3 model is about £7,000 less, but it's nicer to drive too. With no heavy batteries to move around, the ride quality is greatly improved, gliding over bumps and potholes. The springs are softer than on a regular Xceed, but it still gives you confidence in the corners with plenty of grip and a surprising lack of body roll. The 1.5-litre motor is eager to rev, and performance is decent too, with 158 bhp driving the front wheels through a 6-speed manual gearbox. It's quicker than the hybrid, hitting 62 in just under 9 seconds onto a top speed of 129. However, this has fast become an incredibly crowded sector of the market. So how does the Xseed compare with our current class favourite, the Mazda CX-30?
Starting at under £25,000, the CX-30 is an easy car to live with. All models are extremely comfortable, while higher spec cars come with some incredibly tasteful paint and interior combinations. It's a good-looking car too, taking much of its styling from the Mazda 3 hatchback. Unfortunately, there's no hybrid option, with just two versions of the same 2-litre petrol motor on offer. The 120 brake horsepower Sky Active G unit and the more potent 178 brake horsepower Sky Active X. Both have a choice of a superb 6-speed manual or smooth 6-speed automatic gearbox. Mazda is hoping to prove that internal combustion still has a future with the Sky Active. In theory, it's engineered to combine petrol performance with diesel economy. In reality, while it's frugal, performance still seems to be somewhat lacking, meaning you really have to rev it to reach its full performance potential, spoiling your average MPG in the process. It drives well though, with nicely weighted steering providing just enough feedback to keep keen drivers engaged.
In conclusion then, the Mazda is still a great choice. The Kia lacks some of the CX-30's dynamism, but with lower running costs, a spacious cabin and a great range of trim levels, it is well worth considering.
After the break, BMW celebrates 50 years of the M division with the all-new M2.
Coming up, the all-new BMW M2. But first, with SUVs now the mainstay of any self-respecting car maker's lineup, we're now seeing them outnumber the humble saloon. A great example of this is Lexus. Once a dedicated purveyor of four doors, the brand now offers twice the amount of SUV models. The latest one is this, the new NX. The previous model was Lexus's best-selling car in the UK, so this new one has got some big shoes to fill. On the face of it, it seems like nothing's really changed. It's still angular and interesting from any angle, but look closely and the updates become clear. Both bumpers have been refreshed, as have the LED lights, but it remains a handsome car, especially when compared to many of the other copycat SUVs that we are so used to seeing. It's inside, though, where the biggest changes have been made. We always like Lexus cabins, and this one is no exception. Fit and finish are outstanding, while the huge new 14-inch infotainment will be a welcome relief after the frustrating system in the old car. Some functions are operated via the screen, but there is still a selection of physical buttons to make things easier while on the move. The new NX sits on the same platform as the Toyota RAV4. As such, the Lexus is available with a variety of hybrid powertrains, including a plug-in. In this guise, the NX produces a little over 300 bhp from its two electric motors and the 2.5-litre petrol motor. Beneath this in the range is the so-called self-charging hybrid 350h. This uses the same engine, but operates as a regular series hybrid. It produces 241 brake horsepower, which is plenty in this kind of car.
This is a busy part of the market though, with some seriously impressive rivals. For example, the Audi Q5. Sitting in the middle of Audi's vast SUV lineup, the Q5 is a great compromise between size and practicality, with plenty of space and a relatively compact package. Like all current Audis, the interior is superbly finished, with all models coming loaded with gadgets. However, while no cars in the class are exactly thrilling to drive, the Q5 misses the mark more than most. While there is a performance model on offer, more humble versions lack feel, and its off-road capabilities are, perhaps unsurprisingly, nowhere near those of alternatives from Land Rover. Most people, though, don't actually want to take their 4x4 off-roading, so might they be better off looking elsewhere in the JLR range? The Jaguar F-Pace has recently had a facelift and is looking better than ever. As is common for midlife facelifts, the Jag gets the usual array of new lights and tweaked bumpers, but it's underneath the sleek body where the F-Pace really impresses. The new plug-in hybrid 4-pot puts out around 400 horsepower and allows fully electric driving for up to 33 miles. From a standstill, it will hit 62 in around 5 seconds, so it's more than quick enough to raise a smile.
As impressive as its rivals are, though, we still can't help but admire the Lexus. It gets a great range of electrified powertrains, it's packed full of tech, and perhaps most importantly, it stands out in a sea of forgettable SUVs.
"2022 marks the 50th anniversary of one of the world's most revered badges, M, adorning BMW's fastest road cars and motorbikes since the 70s. The M badge, with its 3 stripes, has become synonymous with fast rear-wheel drive saloons and coupes. But when BMW decided to mark the milestone with a plug-in hybrid SUV, we were worried. It turns out, though, that we needn't have been. This is the all-new BMW M2, and it's about as old school as performance cars get. There's a big engine up front, 3 pedals and a gear stick in the middle, with power sent to the back. The perfect petrol head recipe then, so let's see what the M division has been up to. Starting with the new 2 Series Coupe, the engineers have done a thorough job transforming it. Straight away, you notice the more aggressive stance with huge swollen arches accommodating some bespoke alloys, 19 inches at the front and 20s at the back. The track has been increased both front and rear, while bigger grills, a new rear diffuser and quad exhausts make the M2 easy to spot. Onto the bonnet, you get a fully fledged M3 engine, albeit one that's slightly detuned so as not to tread on its bigger sibling's toes. Like so many of the M division's greatest hits, it's a 3-litre straight 6, turbocharged to produce 453 brake horsepower. And while that's less than you get in an M3, it's still more than you got in even the most extreme versions of the old model. 0 to 62 takes just 4.2 seconds if you opt for the paddle shift box, but we suspect that many buyers will prefer to sacrifice a few tenths in favour of a manual. Top speed is electronically limited to 155 miles per hour, but if you ask nicely and pay some extra cash, BMW will remove the limiter, allowing you to reach 177. To ensure it can corner as well as it goes, the M2's chassis has been overhauled with various bits of extra bracing to keep it all stiff. It gets a perfect 50-50 weight distribution, an active differential, adaptive suspension and 10 levels of adjustability for the traction control, meaning plenty of sideways action is likely to be on the cards when it arrives in spring next year. Inside, you get all the typical high-spec 2 Series gadgets, including the impressive curved widescreen display, incorporating a digital instrument panel and the massive 15-inch infotainment system, as well as some body-hugging seats, although the lightweight carbon fibre bucket seats come as part of the optional M driver's pack. Prices will start from around £61,000, putting it right into Porsche Cayman territory.
£58,000 puts you in a Cayman S, and while that might miss out on the bigger 6-cylinder motor, the flat 4 still delivers some fantastic performance. It is way down on power versus the M2 at 345 bhp, but its smaller stature and lower curb weight mean it'll hit 62 from rest in 4.6 seconds onto an identical top speed of 177. The mid-engine Cayman does lose out on practicality with only 2 seats, but really, how often are M2 drivers using their back seats for anything more than shopping bags? Step up your budget to £69,000 and you can get yourself into the 6-pot GTS model, but add a few options and you'll be well on your way to an 80 grand Cayman.
There will always be those who prefer Porsches and those who prefer BMWs. We are yet to drive the new M2, but we've no doubt with that tried and tested recipe, it'll be great. For now though, the 718 Cayman remains the sports coupe to beat.
Join us again next week on Auto Mundial as Audi says goodbye to the TT with a new special edition RS.